Hey, everybody, it's the coach. You're tuned in to Sunday Night Football on EA Sports. We are moments away from what should be an excellent matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll join you again at halftime to look at some of these stats and scores from earlier this afternoon. But for now, it's Sunday Night Football. And on the call, as always, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Okay, Coach, EA Sports coverage of the NFL has us in a very rainy Kansas City, Missouri at venerable Arrowhead Stadium. The scene a few moments ago, here it is. It's unlike any other in sport as both teams made their way out of the tunnel. These folks are fired up as their guys are ready to do battle between the Minnesota Vikings and the Kansas City Chiefs. Hello again, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Godden. And, Charles, we look at this Chiefs ball club, and they've lost 3 straight here, and it goes without saying, I guess, they could certainly use a win.
And how do they get a win? Because they've lost 3 straight, I think it's paramount that they get a fast, clean start to this game.
Meanwhile, for our visitors, the Vikings, they're hitting their stride of late. Winners of 3 of their last 4. So here come the Chiefs for their opening drive. As we get a peek at the former Red Raider and 10th pick in the 2017 draft, Patrick Mahomes. On first down, McFarland, and not much to speak of. Call it a 1-yard gain up to the 26. And the big boys up front in the trenches. What do you think of the O-line, Charles?
I love them because this is a group that's so cohesive. They know what the man next to them is going to do at all times, and they operate as a terrific unit.
The last play got just a yard. Here's 2nd and 9 from the 26. Now a handoff here to his running back. And he's going to get about 7 yards on that one, up to around the 33.
Offensive linemen love creating space for their guys carrying the ball, but when that guy also breaks tackles and creates extra yardage, they almost feel like he's one of them, and they really embrace him.
And going deep for Hill. Oh, he almost picked it. Nearly a turnover there on their opening drive. That's a throw he'd like to have back. Now 4th down.
But that certainly looked like something that they discussed all week in practice getting ready for this one. Take the big shot right out of the gate. At worst, you'll open up the defense a little bit, loosen them up, have them back on their heels.
That's a 49-yard punt, 8 though on the return. And the Vikings will take over here 1st and 10. So here's the Viking offense making their way out. And they will be led out by their 6'3" quarterback.
And I liked what his head coach told us about him this week, that no matter what happens, whether he throws 7 interceptions or 7 touchdown passes, he's the same assertive leader in the huddle on each and every play. He can throw the 7 interceptions, just blame the football, blame anything else, and still carry himself like he is the man.
It's like you, assertive in our production meetings.
Well, especially when we're talking about ordering dinner, ordering some snacks.
I was just going to say.
That's where I go.
Officially nothing on that last run. They'll try again 2nd and 10. Now Aikman to throw on 2nd down. Nowhere to escape, and he goes down. He probably feels like he cannot get a break. He was sacked 7 times last week. And here we go again in the first quarter.
And we always talk about the internal clock of a quarterback in the pocket and how he has to have a real keen sense of it in order to get rid of the football. After being sacked 7 times last week, that clock has been sped up.
Now on 3rd down, an extra DB out there for the Chiefs. Now Aikman, 3rd and long. This one complete to Curtis Samuel. And he's going to be out of bounds right at midfield. They chalk that one up as a gain of 34 on 3rd down.
Now that one hurts defensively. They force them into 3rd and long, had the advantage, yet they give up the big play right there.
Yeah, their offense was already warming up on the sideline, ready to come out. So much for that 3 and out. So the line of scrimmage all the way up to midfield now as they've got it 1st and 10. Now Saquon Barkley. He'll be taken down at the 48 for a pickup of 2 yards.
They tried a quick hitter inside, but that one was swallowed up because what they're hoping, those big defensive linemen will take the bait and move laterally and open up a crease that they can run through. Didn't happen on that play.
Now a man open down the middle of the field.
Well, from their point of view, this game could not be starting out much better, could it? Force a punt on defense, and now they're moving it crisply on offense.
Crisply, I like that. Yeah, moving it very, very well. Looks like the defense on their heels a little bit. You put a score in here, long way to go, but you're right, that's a heck of a start.
Yeah, and I think this is where the play caller is looking at his play sheet and saying, do I have that dagger play? Do I have that play and just finish them off right now? Because I think they'd love to gain that big advantage early.
Ball up to the 35 now as they come up on 1st and 10. They go back to the ground now with Barkley. Even with the good footwork, he'll be stopped just inside the 35. North of 100 yards, the 2 scores. And, you know, you got to give a lot of credit to the O-line. We talked a lot about him, but offensive line was good, too.
They're obviously in sync with each other, whether it's zone blocking, power running game, no matter what. He understands how to read them and find the creases that they provide.
Now the pass, and it's into the arms of Hopkins. 6 yards is the pickup, and that'll lead to a 3rd down.
One thing we do know, he's going to get his catches. So as they move forward defensively, got to continue to focus on not giving up the big play when he does catch the ball in the secondary.
They'll try to run for it with Barkley. And, boy, he is very close to a 1st down, but from where they're spotting that football, he's going to be a foot or so short.
Well, they certainly had success throwing the ball in this drive, and not as much running it as we just saw once again.
All day. Down. 90 Wolf.
And the challenge pays dividends. The ref overturns the play.
Everyone gets a bonus on this one, Brandon.
Rush coming, and he's taken down. Charles, a little bit of feast or famine on this drive. They moved the ball okay, but they've been sacked twice now.
And they've got to figure out how to plug that leak a little bit, right? Keep them away from the quarterback because when he's not being hit, as you mentioned, they're moving the ball well.
This is caught. Gronkowski. And he'll head out of bounds inside the 10. Mark him down at the 9. 23 yards on the play.
Okay, I'm not so great at math, but I just looked over at our statistician, Marvin, and he signaled to me 5 for 5 to get things started here on this opening drive. Where I come from, that's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Now, what do you do defensively to adjust?
Well, this is where you got to make a decision as a defensive coordinator. Do you really get after the quarterback, or maybe you tighten down on the receivers, bump them off of their routes, chip away at their timing, so things aren't as precise as they've been so far in this game.
Now Aikman looking to throw, and the Chiefs are going to get him. Frank Clark in there to get him, and on the season now, that is 9 sacks for him. So it's 3rd and goal now, and this is where the Arrowhead crowd can make it very tough. On 3rd and goal, Aikman to the goal line, but it's incomplete. So on 4th down, on comes the Viking kicker, Daniel Carlson. And that is no good. And this will remain a scoreless game. So they'll come away with nothing here. A disappointing result even on a day like this.
And as a kicker in the rain, you've got to slow things down a little bit. Give your holder an extra half second to make sure everything's secure. And here, he might have rushed this one a little, and it winds up no good.
The KC offense out of the huddle, ready for their next drive.
And on the first drive, 3 and out. And I know that these are professional athletes, but I would imagine sometimes you get the nerves at the beginning of a game still, don't you?
Those don't ever go away. And typically what I heard from guys and what I remember from playing, if you don't have nerves at the start of a game, it's not going to be a great day for you. You're not really ready to play. So finding a way to harness those nerves and not let them affect you in a negative way, that's what all the guys are looking for.
We're scoreless after 1. Here's a 2nd and 5 now from the 25. Looking to throw is Mahomes. Looking left side, and he's got a man. It's Ferguson. And he'll get it up near the 35, right at the 34 here. 9 yards to pick up there, and it's a first down. A first down carry for Smith. And he'll get 2, maybe 3, up near the 37.
When we see those runs to the perimeter, when we see those runs to the edge, we think about big breakers, don't we? In this case, it was a modest game, but it does open up possibilities here on 2nd down.
The last run got 3. Now here's 2nd and 7. Now they try the right side here. And he is met quickly in the backfield. Down he goes, folded like a lawn chair. An extra defender in the secondary for the Vikings here on 3rd down. Working from the gun, Mahomes. And going deep for Hill. And he's caught on the sideline, but he's not going to have a first down. They say he was out of bounds. So a big call there that brings up 4th.
One thing I know from experience is that when the deep ball is thrown and you're the defender, you've got to fight that little bit of panic that emerges. You've got to play the ball really well. It's a 50-50 jump ball play. And guess what? They took a shot. How are you going to win it? And in this case, they managed to get it done.
Now here's Michael Dixon as he'll punt it away for the 2nd time. He steps into this one, and this is a rocket. He'll return it from the 6. They'll call that a 61-yard punt. He got all of that one. Here are the Vikings now to start their next drive. And they had compiled a pretty long drive last time. Unfortunately, though, it ended with no points after the missed field goal.
And that can hurt the psyche of a team because as they drove downfield, you know you're never supposed to count points in your mind until they go up on the board. But let's face it, we've been there. We've seen teams before. They were counting on those points. They didn't.
Now the pressure comes, and he goes down. Just inside the 10, back at the 9.
Brandon, if I'm an offensive coordinator and I see an all-out rush like that, I file it away because I'm going to use their aggressiveness against them as this game goes on. I'm going to hit them with a screen soon.
And he takes us beyond the 35 before going out of bounds. A big hitter there, a first down gain of 26 yards. Line of scrimmage, the 37 on 1st and 10. They'll run with Barkley. And that'll be good for 8 yards to the 45.
Despite the blitz, they're still able to pick up a nice solid gain. The disadvantage of blitzing often alters the normal spacing and run fits and leaves creases like they were able to exploit right there.
On 2nd down, Freeman. And he'll only get a yard to bring up 3rd and 1.
What a luxury to have a guy like this who can not only spell your starter, but can come in and keep drives going.
The Vikings on third down. They've been good, 3 for 4 thus far. They need just a yard here. It's 3rd and 1.
Let's go, Mike 50, Mike 50.
On 3rd and 1, it's Aikman. He gets it into the hands of Gronkowski, complete. And he'll get into the end zone. Touchdown, Minnesota. A big play there. His 2nd touchdown on the season as his guys are on the board first here tonight. After a fairly uneventful first quarter, that last play, that'll make a few highlight clips.
It certainly will, and you're exactly right. The first quarter almost felt like a feeling out process, didn't it? Both teams, okay, what are we going to do? Looks like they ramped things up just a little bit to start the second quarter.
Oh, I was just about to say he hadn't missed an extra point all season, but there it is. His first miss, no good. Now he's back out there to boom this one away, maybe with some frustration after the PAT miss. This is taken at the 3. And not a bad return here. He gets it out to the 25-yard line. Here's the Kansas City offense now as they get set to take over. It hasn't gone particularly well for them, that's obvious. In these conditions, no points so far. They've got to get that offense on track. The question, how do they do it?
It is the age-old question, isn't it? And to me, finding a way to make sure your playmakers touch the ball without it being too exotic. Meaning you don't have to go deep down the field. Maybe you hit them on those short passes on the perimeter. Make sure you just turn around and hand it to your best runner and get out of the way. Don't cause any extra stress on your offense.
Now he's going to send this one deep right side. And that's caught inside the 35. And all the way in for a Kansas City touchdown. A big play there. His 4th touchdown on the year. As his guys can now take the lead with the extra point. And he had time there. But you give any quarterback that length of time, he'll make you pay.
It just puts way too much stress on guys trying to cover downfield. Because, as you said, you don't much...
Go! 18 Gators.
They'll run on first down. Vaughn. And I think this defense knew what was coming as he is smothered behind the line. Call that a loss of 5 yards on the play. And it'll make this a 2nd and long.
Well, Brandon, pace comes into play now because they've got the advantage. They've got the football, but they've got to be very careful about what speed they're going to play. You know, my music teacher back in New Paltz, Mrs. Bythema Bagley, used to say, don't go prestissimo when you really want to go largo. And what she meant by that is don't go too fast when you really want to go at a nice, slow, deliberate pace.
I am speechless. I am without speech.
Go, Jackrabbit.
On 3rd down, Aikman. And he's got the completion to Hopkins. He's at the 30, the 20, and he will finally be taken out of bounds. A big play there on the catch and run, 59 yards. Well, they had held him pretty well in check, but if you recall back in the first quarter, you said they needed to avoid the big play. He finally gets loose.
And the thing about it, it doesn't have to be a bunch of big plays. Sometimes one big play can be enough. That's why it's tough to deal with a guy like that.
A first down carry for Barkley. And he will score. Touchdown, Vikings. Saquon Barkley, his 2nd time. So the final seconds have ticked away in this Minnesota victory. And you look back over the score sheet, interesting. A very clean game, no turnovers by either side.
an absolute rarity when we watch games now because defenses have put such an emphasis on taking the ball away. Well, what we saw here was offenses spending their time saying, look, you know they're coming for it. Ball security is paramount. So they worked on that, not just a week of practice, but